Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. And coming up Sunday night on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, it'll be all about the week ahead and the solar eclipse on Monday. Who will have clouds? Who will have clear skies? So you want to tune in. That's Sunday night on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We are still dealing with this upper air storm, but fortunately, there are no watches or warnings up throughout much of the Northeast and into the northern mid Atlantic states. Cold air is being dragged down into the Ohio Valley and into the southeastern part of the U.S., where we have various freeze warnings and frost advisories up. A new storm is developing out in the west. We have a peppering of winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up through western Colorado into eastern Wyoming, also scattered in parts of western Wyoming, up into Idaho, and back down into Nevada and southeastern Oregon. Uh, Wind advisories and high wind watches are up as well, along with red flag warnings in some places where conditions are very dry. And as we check out the satellite loop, you'll notice a lot of clouds in the Northeast. We had one of those days today where you start with some sunshine and some hope, and then it self destructs to clouds. Uh, then you get some breaks in the cloud cover, but overall, we want to get rid of all of this. And we still have another day to work this upper low through in the Northeast to get all the clouds out of the way. And those clouds are starting to show some wear and tear here. We're seeing some thin spots developing, so that's a good sign. In the west, you see the rotation that's moved into California and Nevada as those clouds spin away. And before you panic, that storm is not going to make it to the East Coast. And I'll show you in a moment why. Meanwhile, on the radar this evening, it's still pretty busy with snow showers in upstate New York and up in Vermont, where it's a little bit too warm. We're seeing rain showers as you get down into southern New England and also back through parts of Pennsylvania and into Ohio. Some rain and a little wet snow in the mix. Not a whole lot going on near the coast, just some scattered pop ups here and there. And once we get past sundown, a lot of this stuff is going to diminish and gradually shift out to the east. As we check the rest of the radar, very quiet until you go west of the Rockies, and that's where you start to see rains in California, snow in the mountains. Is mostly the west is mountain snows and valley rains, and that is going to continue tonight into tomorrow. WPC, just want to show you this is the 3 day. Well, the problem is that you've got this leftover precipitation that's going on. So let's look at the 2 day. So this actually takes us through the weekend, and you'll see it's mostly well inland. All of this is going to be tonight into Saturday. We're into Saturday in upstate New York and up in northern New England. So it's very much front end loaded for the weekend, and we're talking about anywhere from a few hundredths to maybe a couple of tenths, and that's it. You see more organized rain back in the upper Mississippi Valley and on up through the northern plains and in the northern Rockies. In some places in the northern Rockies, we're seeing as much as a half to three-quarters of an inch there. Same for the western part of the plain states. And then when we look at the 7 day rainfall, because later next week, not this first storm that's come in from California so much as there'll be another one later in the week developing in the Gulf states. We're seeing quite a bit of rain developing there. We're talking several to many inches in the lower Mississippi Valley down at the Gulf Coast. And also up in the northern mid Atlantic to southern New England, it could be another round of rain with three-quarters of an inch to as much as an inch and a half. So at least we've got some time to get there and enjoy some drier weather while it's here. It's just unbelievable with these storms that we've been getting. And by the way, don't be surprised if the next one winds up outperforming and overachieving as well. And what I mean by that is that it uh, produces more than what guidance indicates. Meanwhile, as far as snow is concerned, tonight and tomorrow, it's mostly up in Maine, a few pockets in New Hampshire and back over into parts of northeastern New York, where we have some 40 to 50% probabilities for at least 2 inches. But this is really the last of it. And then when we look out in the west, we see it's in the in the Rockies, in the Sierra Nevadas and the Cascades, looking at some higher probabilities for at least a couple of inches there. So again, it's waiting for this storm system, which is sitting in down East Maine this evening, to get out of the way. It's going to do so and weaken so that tomorrow I think we'll probably have a little bit more in the way of sun, a little bit less in the way of clouds, and in inland areas, fewer scattered showers or up in northern New England areas of wet snow. Then finally, it moves out tomorrow night so that Sunday looks very good with sunshine. It's like we'll have a whole day of sunshine and just a few passing clouds. But meanwhile, look at this storm in the west. It really gets wrapped up here in western Nebraska during the day on Sunday, and you start to think that, uh-oh, this is going to start to come eastward. Well, it's peaking in its intensity in western Nebraska, and it gradually weakens. The issue for Monday is the fact that it's going to be pushing high clouds eastward from the Great Lakes and into areas in western New York and western Pennsylvania right around eclipse time. But areas to the east and up in New England should be fine. The other issue is across the South, particularly from Louisiana and Texas on westward, there's probably going to be a lot of cloud cover because another storm is going to develop there on Tuesday. You could see rain beginning advancing up to the northeast. It reaches our area, eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, come Wednesday, but not a lot. It's sort of a lead shot, but then the low starts to organize a bit, and we get into a larger round of showers, downpours, and maybe even a couple of thunderstorms for Thursday into Friday, and then hopefully it moves along so that we can see improvement for next weekend. And very quickly, just to take a look, this is the GFS prediction for cloud cover for Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock. So the areas in blue are all filled with cloud cover. And we're looking at, for example, this pinkish area here that runs across Mexico into Texas. That is the area of totality as far as the eclipse is concerned. So for the areas in Texas, Arkansas, we're talking 100% cloud cover. We're also talking about 100% cloud cover in Northeast Ohio and in parts of Western New York, but there'll be a sharp cutoff line. So if you go up to Northeastern New York State, Plattsburgh, Messina, Glens Falls. Now, here we're talking about minimal cloud cover, as well as northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and northern Maine, where the cloud cover is going to be minimal. Also, if you're out watching from other places, uh, the GFS says if you're in southern Illinois, you're going to be kind of on the edge of the cloud cover, but you might be okay. The same goes for central Indiana, but you don't have to go that far south to find complete overcast skies. And we're going to be focusing on this, as we said, on Sunday night on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, and that'll be at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. In the meantime, enjoy your Friday night and enjoy your weekend.